What's the funniest way you got your manager fired? I'd been working at this pizza chain for about 3 years when corporate hired Andrew as our new night manager. He was one of those guys who thought he knew everything because he'd managed a sandwich shop for 6 months, always talking about efficiency and streamlining operations like we were running a Fortune 500 company instead of slinging pepperoni pizzas to drunk college kids. Andrew's first week was fine. He showed up on time and followed the rules. But by week 2, he started complaining about everything. The closing time was too late. The cleaning checklist was too long. We had too many employees on the schedule. He kept saying stuff like, back at the sandwich shop we'd be done by 9, even though we were open until midnight. One Saturday night I was working the afternoon shift and Andrew was supposed to take over at 5. Corporate had us open until midnight on weekends because that's when we made most of our money. College kids ordering pizza at 11:30 was basically our entire business model. Andrew knew this because they literally explained it during manager training. I handed him the keys at 5 and went home thinking everything was normal. The store was busy like always on a Saturday. We had 3 drivers and 2 people making pizzas plus Andrew running the front. More than enough staff to handle the dinner rush and late night orders. Around 7:30 my phone started blowing up. One of the drivers texted me asking if we were really closing early. I had no idea what he was talking about. Then another driver messaged saying Andrew was making everyone clock out. The kid working the ovens called me confused about why they were shutting everything down when we still had 5 hours left. I called the store but nobody answered. Called Andrew's cell and it went straight to voicemail. I lived about 15 minutes away so I drove back to see what was happening. When I got there at 8, the parking lot was empty except for Andrew's car. The lights were off inside and the door was locked. The neon open sign was turned off and there was a handwritten note taped to the door that said closed early due to circumstances. I used my key to get in and found Andrew in the office counting the register like it was a normal closing. He looked up at me all casual and said the store was too slow to stay open. I asked him if he was insane. It was Saturday night and we had orders prepaid online that people were going to show up for. Andrew just shrugged and said those people could get refunds on Monday. He'd already sent everyone home and turned off the ovens. The phone was ringing non-stop but he'd turned the volume down so you could barely hear it. I checked the computer and we had 17 missed orders already. People were probably standing outside other stores wondering why their pizza wasn't ready. I told Andrew he needed to call everyone back immediately and reopen. He actually laughed at me and said he was the night manager so it was his call. Corporate didn't need to know about one slow Saturday. He claimed he was saving the company money by not paying labor costs when it was dead, except it wasn't dead. It was 8 o'clock on a Saturday in a college town. The regional manager started calling Andrew's cell around 9 when the complaint emails started rolling in. Andrew just let it go to voicemail every time. He finished counting the money and started doing the nightly paperwork like closing 5 hours early was totally normal. He even wrote slow night in the manager log. I stayed there watching this train wreck because I knew I'd need to explain what happened. Andrew finished all the closing duties by 9:30 and actually tried to leave. I reminded him we were supposed to be open until midnight. He said that was a suggestion, not a rule, and walked out to his car. I heard him peel out of the parking lot while I stood there in a dark, empty pizza place that should have been full of customers. The regional manager showed up at 10 after driving 40 minutes from his house. He was absolutely furious. We turned everything back on and called in emergency staff, but the damage was done. We'd lost probably $3,000 in Saturday night sales, plus who knows how many angry customers who'd never order from us again. Andrew got fired over the phone at 10:30 while we were trying to salvage the night. The regional manager left him a voicemail that probably melted his phone. The craziest part was Andrew actually showed up for his shift the next day at 5 like nothing happened. He walked in with his uniform on and tried to clock in. The day manager had to explain that he'd been terminated. Andrew acted shocked and said he was just trying to save money for the company. He demanded to speak to corporate about the misunderstanding and refused to leave for 20 minutes. We had to threaten to call the cops before he finally got the message. They made me the new night manager after that. First thing I did was put a sign in the office that said, "We close at midnight, no exceptions." Never had anyone try to close early again.